I'm Justin Shearer. I'm the Associate Director of Research, Information and Engagement at the University of Melbourne. My sincere thank you for the invitation to come and speak to you all today as you begin on this journey. First of all, I'll begin by acknowledging that I am speaking to you from the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nations, and acknowledge their contributions to the Academy and their elders past, present, and emerging. And an additional acknowledgement to Dr. Zach Kendall and Dimity Flanagan from my team, who have prepared most of the slides that you'll see today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the university and our overall ecosystem approach to open access, talk to you a little bit about some of the data and analysis that we have undertaken here to understand how successful our open access initiatives are, and to share with you sort of, I guess, our overall thinking on the topic. So the University of Melbourne may be known to many of you. It is a comprehensive research-intensive institution here in Australia, in Melbourne. I've collected for you a range of our information about our rankings performance. But to give you a sense of the scale of the organisation, about 14,000 scholarly outputs are produced every year. We have about 9,000 researchers, including graduate research students. We have over 100 research centres and institutes, and our research expenditure exceeds more than $2 billion a year. And you can see here about a third of which is supported directly by competitively awarded research funding in this country. So in thinking about open access and why it is an important strategic initiative for us here in the library at the university, a range of benefits have been discussed at this point, removing barriers, financial barriers to research, to reach a wider audience and to support research collaborations, to make sure that research is available to practitioners and members of the public, with a view to increasing policy and practical impact of research. And of course, with respect to, I guess, the impact within discipline areas and within academia, we've done some analysis of the citations and attention of our own papers, whether they're closed or open. And as you can see here on the slide, there is a significant tangible benefit to those who are publishing open access. This slide here is a summary based on the 2024 CWTS Leiden ranking as to the scale of open access activity at the University of Melbourne with respect to our journal articles only. So you can see how we benchmark against leading institutions in Australia, North America, and Europe. Within Oceania, we are second by percentage open access across institutions that have 10,000 or more outputs. Again, speaking of journal articles only. The university established the principles for open access to research outputs at the University of Melbourne. And this document here lays out what the university prefers, what it will commit to, and it also outlines responsibilities of researchers. The university clearly is committed to disseminating its research as widely as possible for the public good. And you can find the full content of the principles at the link on the screen there. The university outlines its preferred pathways to open access, and we take a multi-pronged approach, although I will spend most of the remaining part of my time with you talking about read and publish agreements. We are keen to support a range of initiatives with a view to not leaving behind scholar-led publication initiatives. So our preferred pathways include repository open access, either through discipline repositories or Minerva Access, which is our institutional repository for open access. Fully open access venues, institutional open access publishing agreements, which I'll talk more about, and subscribe to open models and other similar open access initiatives. The university also strongly encourages the use of rights retention statements upon manuscript submission. We expect researchers to use Creative Commons licenses, CC BY in this case, where appropriate. And we expect graduate researchers to make their research thesis publicly available via the institutional repository. Uh, Embargoes are by exception only and require the sign-off of the Pro-Vice-Chancellor for graduate students. We also commit the university to providing infrastructure and the associated support necessary to increase the openness of research outputs via the repositories. So Minerva Access is our open access repository. We use Figshare for our institutional data repository, and there are a range of other community and discipline-based initiatives that we support directly financially. The university also pursues institutional open access with a focus on long-term sustainability and equity. And we do this primarily through the Council of Australian University Librarian Agreements. And I'll talk more about those in a moment. And the university will also support scholar-led and community-developed open access initiatives in order to support a diverse scholarly communications ecosystem. Thinking about how we support the University of Melbourne Diamond OA journals, so-called, and we retain a portion of our budget to support these kinds of initiatives. In terms of the open access publishing agreements, our current agreements are almost all read and publish agreements, and they have been replacing library subscriptions, read-only agreements with publishers, with the new agreements including both read access and some limited open access publication. The Council of Australian University Librarians, or CAUL, has been leading the negotiation of read and publish agreements with publishers. Effectively, they act on our behalf and then offer agreements to universities on that basis. And in so doing, aimed at arriving at better deals for the university, more sustainable. When we evaluate offers, the university considers publisher reputation and esteem, cost to library budgets, publishing trends, coverage limitations, caps, and also transformational pathways to moving those journals over to fully open. We also when we're supporting hybrid journals, where the publication is not covered by an agreement, we prefer repository deposit over paying article processing charges. And the university at a central level does not support article processing charges, although it may happen locally in departments. This slide here details the open access publishing agreements to which the University of Melbourne is a party in 2024. There are 24 of these, primarily negotiated via CAUL. And you can see the list here. Some exceptions, limits, and exclusions do apply. In Australia, the system means that CAUL negotiates agreements nationally, so the caps in most cases are shared between all Australian higher education members to those agreements, so that and the caps are used up on a first come, first served basis. So there can be issues, as you can see here. We have agreements with all of the big five publishers, Wiley, Elsevier, Springer Nature, Taylor and Francis. And as you can see, in Australia, we either have or are approaching the caps, which means no further open access publishing can take place under those agreements without incurring article processing charges. And again, you can see that some of the journals, of course, are excluded from their particular agreements. Taking an example of the Springer Nature agreement does not include nature journals. So this is a breakdown in 2023 of the University of Melbourne's research and review articles by their open access status. So you can see the percentage that are published open access, published in the repository open access, and are yet still closed. So you can see the percentage there of fully open access journals, a very small number of gold OA journals via CAUL Read and Publish, and hybrid OA journals, both via CAUL and not via CAUL. And you can see here specifically, just over 20% of our review and research articles were published open access via call, read, and publish agreements in 2023. This represents a very significant contribution to our open access publishing at the university. And here's some data from the Group of 8 Open Access Working Group. The Group of 8 are the top 8 research intensive universities in Australia. And this shows across the entire country how the impact of the call, read, and publish agreements. So significant increases in hybrid open access in 2022 and in 2023. In 2022 being the year that we began signing these agreements. So you can see a very significant shift in publishing behavior in Australia, very positive trend. So you're seeing a steady proportion over time of gold open access publishing, but 2023 was the first year that showed a year-on-year decrease. And we're expecting this trend to continue to flatten out and decrease over time as more output is governed by the agreements. This is a not exhaustive list of other open access initiatives that we are supporting in 2024. So a range of subscribe to open arrangements here where all authors avoid article processing charges for open access publishing. A range of initiatives to support diverse open access book publishing. You can see them here. And other open access initiatives that we support, including discipline repositories and other open infrastructure via SCOSS and KU. If you'd like to learn more, you can get in touch with us via the email address there, or you can have a look at all of our resources, including the principles and a range of other materials that we provide directly to researchers. All of these things are available open. Those materials themselves are CC BY licensed and are reused many other institutions in Australia. So you can learn a little bit more in detail about our open access system. Thank you very much. I have enjoyed speaking to you today about this.